guys, welcome back to the Witchy Woman podcast. Kylie and Zori here.
Hey.
Today we're gonna dive into relationships, which is it can go in so many different directions. So relationships is just the general idea that we have, but we are going to start off on.
We're gonna start off talking about the different types of relationships because I feel like all of us just like automatically think of like monogamy,
right?
But there's like polygamy and open relationships, and a lot of people, which I found out, don't know the difference between like polygamy and open relationships.
I'm not. Oh no, I do. That's what I'm saying. I was gonna say I'm not sure if I do, and I'm like, no, wait.
There's like a difference for sure.
Let me see. Wait, polygamy is having multiple partners.
Yes.
Open relationship is you can be with other people if you want, but both of you have consented to know that. But it's not guaranteed that you're still together. Yes,
you're
but
still
like,
just like one person together.
You
just are okay having sex with other people, or kind of like.
But you don't have multiple wives.
But you don't have multiple
partners.
You have one partner, but you can have sex with other people.
Yes. Okay.
So that's the difference between polygamy and an open relationship. Because a lot of people get them confused. Because I remember like my first year in college, some people were like in open relationships. Obviously, probably because just like transitioning from like a high school relationship or whatever they came from to whatever, and one of my friends was like, yeah, like I'm not into polygamy or open relationships, and I was like, those are different things, and she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, no, they're very different, like very, very different. But I wanted to bring this topic to the pod because it's like I thought about myself and like if I mean, not that you have to be subscribed to one thing, but like we're all like, I feel like
It's already smacking.
Not it already hitting me. I feel like we're all like monogamy default.
Monogamous.
Because we see monogamous, like, yeah.
We're all monogamy.
We all like think of monogamy as the default. And we're all like kind of, I don't want to say we're all monogamous by default, but we all see monogamy as the default.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's like what we grow up seeing. That's what you see in movies. It's like, but you know, that's not a conversation a lot of people I feel like have, because everybody just assumes everybody's monogamous, right? And then you get in a relationship and you're like, why are you fucking other people? You know what I mean? So hear me out.
God, communication is key.
No, why aren't we talking? Like why are we not talking? Like, people are just getting in relationships.
Why are you not telling me what you
and
are?
Nobody's talking. Like. So when it comes to people who cheat, I think I've been cheated on once. I've never
that
cheated.
You're aware of.
That I'm aware of. Well, I also haven't been in that many relationships.
That's true.
I really have been in only one serious relationship, so unless it was with other people. But yeah, so I've never cheated, but I was listening to a podcast with this girl, Stella Berry. I think that's how you say it. Yeah, Stella Berry. And she was talking about how like she's cheated and been cheated on, and she like really kind of had this hot take of like, when people cheat, it's like necessary or like whatever, because whatever. One of the things she said is like, every time I've cheated, I've gone back to the relationship I was in and realized like, no, this relationship needs to end. Like, I needed it to realize it needed to end, like whatever. Which is like kind of obviously a debatable topic, because it's like you shouldn't have to like fully, I feel like cheat on somebody to realize that, but it is something that you can like realize through cheating, you know what I mean? So it's like there's a positive, but also like maybe don't like just be doing that like willy-nilly, like, should I break up? Let me cheat. Right. I'll figure it out. So, but she had brought up like the fact that she was in an open relationship, and the podcaster was like, oh my God, like, what is that like for you? Like, what does that mean? Like, can you lay that out for me? And she was like, okay, well, I have my boyfriend, and she does porn. And she was like, well, I have my boyfriend, and he knows, like, I go out and do these other things. But when she does porn, but she also, like, she just, like, fucks, like, whatever.
Okay.
So she's like, he knows, like, I'm, like, you can't fucking, like, cage me, and also, like, whatever. So and he's also kind of like that. So she was like, we're just, like, in an open relationship. And she was talking about how she thinks it's low-key even more, like, it makes them even more connected than just being monogamous. But let me tell you why, like, what her reasoning, because I also was like, how, but when you think about, like, monogamy, and this is not in any way shitting on monogamy, because I think it's beautiful and amazing, and there's nothing wrong with it. But when you think about monogamy, a lot of times, especially just like now with cheating being like a huge thing, the whole thing is like, are you cheating on me? Are you cheating on me?
Yeah.
Is this, even if you're not like paranoid about it, it's like, you know, you see them talking to like somebody else, you're like, is there something going on there?
Right.
It's just this looming, like, it could happen. Not necessarily when is it going to happen, because you don't always believe
Just
when you're with
the
somebody.
shoe to drop.
You're just kind of like, it could. So it's like, I'm thinking about it. It's on the line. She kind of was talking about it in this way of like, you kind of nix that from the relationship in an open relationship, because it's like,
you already know they are.
one, you already know they are, but two, it's like, you're, she was explaining it like, I feel even more connected to him, because it's like, I know I can go out and it really is just sex. Because, like, when you get cheated on in a monogamous relationship, you're like, do you like this person?
Yeah.
Because, you know, when people will be like, it's just sex. And it's like, first of all, even if it is, that's not okay, because you were promised to be monogamous to each other. It's not okay. But there is that, like, line there of, like, would you like... Some people don't even get physically cheated on, but get, like, emotionally cheated on. That's, like, something kind of newish I've heard of. And that, people talk about how, like, that hurts worse than, like, physical cheating. Because it's, like, why are you, like, going on dates with this other person? You know what I mean? Forming, like, an emotional connection with this person. Where it's, like, it almost does feel better if it's, like, okay, you're just, like, a body. It still sucks. Obviously, you don't want that. But it's, like, if you're in love with me mentally and you've just cheated on me physically, it's kind of more of, like, and you can somehow, like, prove that to me, it's kind of more of, like, okay, I feel a little bit better that you don't at least like this person. You're willing to just, like, drop them for me. But she was kind of talking about how, like, you know, we know, like, I can have sex with anybody and it's just sex, but no matter what, I'm coming back to you. You feel like, what she was saying, she feels, because this is obviously, like, a subjective thing. This is so person to person. But she was saying, like, she feels like it's just even more, like, I know you can go fuck whoever. And also there's boundaries still there. It's not just like...
Well, you have to talk about the boundaries.
Yes, you have to talk about the boundaries. An open relationship doesn't mean I'm fucking whoever, whenever. But it's like, if I'm having sex with somebody, I need to tell you about it. First of all, you still need to be safe. So it's like, if I'm having sex with somebody else, I'm using protection. In my head, if I were to, like, be in an open relationship, it would be like, it's hard because it's like, do I want to know if you've had sex with somebody else? But I also would want to know, because it's like, I don't want to be surprised if, like, there's, like, a whatever. So it's like, I do want to know. But it really, this is why I wanted to bring it to the podcast, because it was a brain fuck for me, because I was like, I kind of thought about myself in this situation. I was like, low-key would weirdly be freeing. Like, both sides just being like, if you find somebody else attractive, you can XYZ. Like, maybe,
but are you allowed to?
Maybe it's not
form relationships.
No,
or is it just
no. That's polygamy. That's polygamy.
Okay.
That's what polygamy is. It's multiple relationships. And also, I believe no. Polygamy, it's all that. I was gonna say I think it's all with each other, but I think it can be, but it can also be whatever. But yeah, so not relationships. It's literally an open relationship is like just supposed to be like sexual. If it's relationships. If you're forming other relationships with people, that is polygamy, and that's the difference between an open relationship and polygamy. So with that, it's just sex. So it's like, you can do X, Y, Z, and even if it's sex, like, I'm sure there's, like, boundaries there where it's like, you can go make out with somebody, you can go give somebody a head, you can, like, whatever, but maybe there's relationships, open relationships, where it's like, you can't physically have sex with somebody else, but, like, whatever. I don't know. There's, like...
You know what's strange?
I'm sure there's different boundaries.
And why that wouldn't work for me, but polygamy more so would, is because I can't I can't have sex with people without emotional connection. So that would not work.
And you know what? I'm not going to say I can, because there's an emotional connection, but it doesn't have to be romantic.
But
yours has to be romantic.
No, I just need that connection, and I feel like you're not supposed to be doing that in an open relationship. Like, I feel like you're not...
Well, if you're, like, a friend, like...
Oh, okay. This is fucking friends.
That's what I'm saying. This is where we get into the difference between romantic and platonic love. Okay, sex. Because I can be sexually attracted to a friend and have sex with a friend and not want to date them.
Yeah, that's true.
And if in an open relationship, it's like, okay, you can do that and I can do that. We need to be in communication with each other. But at the end of the day, it's like, you're my number one. Like, you're who I'm
It definitely, the lines can blur at some point if you start to fall off track with the communication and
the idea is that you don't go into it just being like, we're in an open relationship and that's the end of the conversation. The idea is that you go into it with, like, here's the boundaries, here's what I would be comfortable with versus what I would, that's why it would look different for everybody, but the idea is like the same, in that like we can go out and kind of do whatever, we're always coming back to each other. And it's like, it's so weird because she was explaining it, it was just so weird because I like understood it.
So do you,
what,
like, do they stay the night at that person's house, or are they literally doing it then coming back and sleeping with their partner?
I mean, if you live together, yeah, you're coming back and like like not like I don't know, like the same night, but like
it's definitely not for the insecure.
No, it's weird. No,
it's for the super secure people.
No, but also that's why I was like, it's different. It's just different because I don't even want to say it's like not for the insecure, because I'm sure there's people who are very secure who are still not comfortable with their partner sleeping with somebody else. Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, but this idea just kind of blew my mind because I feel like personally, I'm like, I don't know how I would feel about it, like, actually, but, like, personally listening to her, I was like, I understand how you could feel, like, even more connected to your partner that way. I'm not saying more than somebody who's monogamous, because you can be totally connected and not have sex with other people, but I'm just saying more in a way of, like, I know that no matter who you have sex with, it is literally just sex, and I'm your number one, like, it's kind of, it kind of takes away, it's like exposure therapy for cheating. Right. It kind of takes away, like, the scariest, like, looming thing in a relationship, which is, like, having sex with other people, and, like, bringing that up and being like, yeah, you can have sex, whatever, but, like, if you're coming back to me, like, and it's on both sides, so it's even. It's not just one person, because that's not open relationship.
What if there was one person?
That's weird.
Like, weird. What if one person wanted to, the other person did not? Then how do you figure that out? You just can't, right?
I feel like one person is like, I want. Unless that one person is like, I don't want to sleep with anybody else, but I'm okay with you sleeping with other people. Yeah. Then that's fine. Right. Then that's like a half open relationship, I guess. But if somebody is like, I don't want you sleeping with anybody else, and I'm not going to sleep with anybody else, that's not okay. Which is why this is why these conversations need to happen. And I low-key, like, when she's talking about, like, how cheating happens and, like, the reason why she would cheat. Because for me, in my head, I'm just like, I can't even fathom, like, cheating on somebody ever. But I also don't.
Not until you're in that situation.
I don't know what that means, though. Like, because in my head, I'm just like, if I don't want to be with somebody, I just don't want to be with them. And I'm going to say that before I go and have sex with somebody else. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I'm not judging people who cheat, because everybody, like you said, until you're
there's situations that get very, like,
but also
weird,
everybody is different. Not everybody. Yeah. I've been through certain things that have just brought me to the point where I'm like, I'm so comfortable being whatever. And there are certain situations. So it was interesting to hear from somebody who has cheated on multiple people, her perspective on, like, relationships and why she thinks she's cheated and why she thinks people cheat in general.
What was her perspective? Do you remember, like, her perspective
on what?
On cheating and why she did or something?
I very lightly remember, she said this in multiple podcasts. If you ever look up, like, Celebrity podcast, you're sadly gonna have to listen to the whole thing, because I was trying to find clips right before this to, like, get exactly what she said. But essentially, she was just like, she really, I don't necessarily agree with it fully, but she definitely said something like, cheating isn't as bad as, like, people act like it is. Like, she's like, obviously you shouldn't cheat, but, like, people who do, like, needed it, like, for whatever reason. Like, all right. Like, it was just really, the way she
cutthroat.
The way she brought it up was very much like, okay, girl, like, but she wasn't, like, saying it was good, but she also wasn't saying it was bad. She, like, just kind of was like, maybe you should
look in her a little bit.
Yeah, she kind of was saying that. She was like,
if there's something wrong with you, you know?
It was definitely weird, because, like, I understood where she was coming from, where she was like, I definitely shouldn't have done that, and I hurt people. Yeah. But I needed whatever, and she was like, people just need to not, like, be so scared of cheating, which was, I don't know, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. But it's so, this is why I enjoy, like, listening to people's viewpoints that are so different from mine, because it, even if I don't fully agree, if I can, like, at least understand a little bit where they're coming from, I understand, like, especially somebody so different from me, where in my head I'm just like, I just don't feel like I ever cheat on anybody. Right. I'm like, so instead of judging and being like, fuck people who cheat, I'm, like, seeking to understand, like, where you're coming from in those situations, and what kind of situations made you feel the need to do that, and what you're not getting from somebody else. And it's not directly, she didn't directly connect it to open relationships in the way that she's like, well, this is why I'm in an open relationship, because I want to cheat. Like, she didn't say it like that, but it was definitely a thing of, like, you can see the connection, and she, like, kind of bridged the gap between the two, where it's like, she's like, I'm a very sexual person. I like to have sex with,
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I related to her on that. Like, I don't feel like I can meet somebody and have sex with them that day. She definitely felt, like, differently.
Like
she's like, if you're physically attracted, she's like, I can whatever.
See, I mean, some people are just like that.
I felt like I was like that, and I was, like, fine with it then, and now I'm just, like, at a point where I'm like, I feel like sex has just become a little bit more sacred to me.
Yes.
Even though I'm still super, like, sexual, so it's, like, it's just this weird space of being in where I'm, like, I don't have a lot of sex, but I would. If the opportunity was perfect enough every time. So it's just so interesting to hear that perspective, because I always was like an open relationship. Like, I don't get how you could be okay with that.
Yeah.
But now I like kind of fully understand it, and I almost was like, almost not as like, not in like a actual way of testing, because I'm not even dating right now, but I was like, I wonder if I was to like start dating someone or like dating a guy or something and be like, how would you feel if I, you know, if we like were open, but like we're each other's number ones. And it's so interesting because I feel like guys are always like, oh, like, you know, even when I'm with a girl, I'm looking at her and her and her and her and her, but I'm like choosing her. And it's like, I don't know, this weird like temptation of like, there's all these people I want to be with. And I was like, well, why don't you go and do it? Do you actually? I feel like it almost kind of tells you like if somebody actually likes you. And I feel like it kind of made me think about why people get into relationships in the first place. And I feel like I can't speak for them, obviously, because I'm not them, but I feel like I know a lot of people who get in relationships just to have, like, a consistent, I don't want to say a consistent fuck, but, like, a consistent fuck and, like, just consistent, like,
schedule.
Attention. Like, I don't know, just something where it's, like, they don't really like the person, but they like what they're getting from the person. And I feel like a lot of times that can be a situation in which cheating happens, because it's, like, I don't really like you, I like what you give me, and then as soon as there's a lapse in what you give me, it's like, well, I'm gonna find it somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, it's like, I feel like if you really, really like somebody, like, and want to be loyal to them, if there's a lapse in what they give you for whatever reason, I mean, obviously depends on, like, how if they're being shitty, but if there's a lapse in what they give, because there's people, like, there's men, there's a huge, like, percentage, I forget, you can look it up, because I don't know exactly what it is, but there's a huge percentage, like, it's a trend for men whose wives get cancer, they have affairs. Like, it's actually a really common thing. They're no longer getting, and I'm not saying they don't love their wives. That's what I'm saying. Like, they might literally just like want sexual release, and they're not getting it anymore. That doesn't mean it's okay, because if they're in that's why I'm saying, like, it's communication. Like, if you're in a monogamous relationship with somebody, and they, from their perspective, it's monogamous, and it's supposed to be from your end, if you have sex with somebody else, you are cheating.
But also imagine them going up to their sick cancerous wife. But that's what I'm saying. Like, how big of a deal is it? Like, can you not just like jerk off? Like, what is going on? Yeah, that's true.
There. That's why this like idea like fucked my brain, because I was like, what does this even mean for like why people are in relationships?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I weirdly could almost say like two people who are in an open relationship who have been together for years, like go everywhere together, they're in love, but they like are okay with fucking other people. It's like, I would doubt their relationship less than some people who are like married.
Right.
Because I'm like, even if they're just dating, because it's like, looking at it from outside, it's like, well, yeah, they're like solid. Like, they've been together for how long, and they fuck, like, they're okay fucking like other people, but like, there's, you know, some married couples that it's like, you always see like, you feel the tension. Like, it's weird. So I was like, it's almost like you said, that like exposure therapy of just like, you know, if I'm so afraid, not saying you should do this. I'm not saying this. Like, I'm being very careful with my words. And I'm not saying that this is like, if you're afraid of cheating, this is what you should do. But I'm just like, it kind of put it in my mind, because I'm kind of like more on the side of like less romance and more sex, where I'm just kind of like, what would happen if I got into a relationship and I was like, you can have sex with whoever you want to, as long as like you're still with, what does that mean for like why somebody would choose you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, are you choosing, because at the end of the day, you know, those two people in an open relationship who have been together for years or whatever are choosing each other every day, even though they have like whatever, they still, because I mean, at the end of the day, if it's just sex, it's like, you could have sex with whoever and never go back to your spouse. Like, why are you with that person?
Except for what happens if they form a emotional or like,
I feel like the type of
romantic
people that
connection.
would be
with that person.
I feel like you wouldn't, like...
How do you disconnect?
Do that. I can't explain it to
people.
No,
I know. I'm just trying to figure out, like...
Have you ever had platonic sex?
No.
My friends literally tell me, they're like, you're the only person I've known that has had a successful friends with benefits.
Yeah, you've told me that.
And I'm like, I don't know how to explain in my brain how I, like, can separate the two. And I'm not saying that it would always be possible.
That's why it only works for a select.
There's boundaries involved, like, for sure. Like, there was, like, times where, like, I didn't or was not okay doing certain things that, like, he would want or whatever, because I was like, that's too close to a girlfriend.
Right.
And we were not dating. So that's why I'm saying there's still boundaries that would be involved. And I feel like there's people that, like, maybe I love their personality so much that, like, I don't know, there's just, like,
this is where, see, okay, if you have the disconnect, if you can do that, that's where it works. For me, I'm wondering, like, if you're in a relationship and you agree to this, yada, yada, and I go out and I meet someone, like, at the bar or whatever, and you got to kick it off for a little bit. You're not just going to be like, oh, can we have sex right now?
Exactly.
So you kick it off for the night, then you kind of are like, oh, cool, like, I kind of fuck with you, yeah. You have to then be able to, you know, go into that sexual space. And then, like, what if after you're like, wow, for some reason, like, I can't stop thinking about them. Like, but they just don't leave my brain.
You just, like, hung out with that person for the night. Like, to me, it's like, I'm not falling in love with somebody in a night. That's never happened to me.
But then, like, what if you're like, oh, I kind of, like, miss them?
You can miss somebody and not be in love with them. But then
you're thinking about it while you're back in this relationship.
But it's like, why,
it's like a weird... I don't know. I'm just saying if that happens.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, is what is the disconnect between that? Because it's like, then why are you choosing the person that you're with if you have... You know what I'm... Like, I don't...
There's, like...
to me, I can
It's people who are just hypersexual.
I feel like there's reasons...
Okay. Honestly, I do know, like, a handful of people that, like, sex is just sex to them. It means nothing. Like, not even sacred one bit. And that's where you can separate, like, all emotions connected with just sex. I cannot do that. Yeah. Sex is super sacred to me. Do not know why. Whatever. But I can't just, like... That's why I have to... like you a lot.
Well, this is where I feel like we need to talk about it more, because I feel like I don't feel like it's necessarily a choice for, like, some people. Like, I feel like it could be. Like, for me, I am a super loyal person. I feel like if I got in a relationship with somebody and they're like, I don't feel like I want or need an open relationship if I were to be with somebody. Yeah. At all. But after, like, thinking about, and I still don't know if I'd be okay with it, because I'm also somebody that, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm a fucking Scorpio. I'm loyal as fuck. I want people to be obsessed with me, like, whatever. Yeah, me too. So you'd think, like, this is a monogamous type of bitch. But I feel like because of my relationship with, like, sex, and it's also super sacred to me, but in a different way, which is why I don't, like, we talked about, like, I don't have, like, I haven't had sex with a lot of people, like, which is so crazy, like, to me, because I feel like I've had sex with more people than I had. Yeah. But I haven't, and it's so weird, because it just feels like I have, because of the type of, like, person I am, but I haven't. And it's because I'm like, it can't just be anybody, like, but it also could totally be somebody that I don't want to date. Yeah, that's true. No, like, I don't want to date you, but I'm sexually attracted to, and I like you as a person. That is the stipulation for me. Yeah. I think I could. But that still, does that take more than one night for you? You know what I mean? Because But it doesn't take long, and I'm not falling in love with somebody in 4 days. So is this girl, did she mention at all if she's doing it, like, that night every time, or if she's, like, texting? So it was kind of different because she did porn, so, like, she was, like, filming with people. And then there was but she would even do it when she wasn't, she said, but she was meeting people, like, that night. She was different. Okay. She was different in the sense that she could meet people and just, like, because, like, a lot of people, it could take, like, you know, a couple of, like, we gotta text a little bit, we gotta go on, like, maybe with my last friends with benefits, dates. I was, like, he was fine with hooking up that first time we hung out. Like, which was, we had met before the first time we hung out. Like, we had met and, like, we had worked in the same place. Yeah. So we saw each other and, like, communicated, like, multiple times before we first, like, hung out one-on-one. But we still weren't, like, it was only at work and in passing, so it was not we didn't know much about each other at all. So the first time we hung out was, like, the first time I was, like, getting to know him fully. So I go over and we're hanging out, whatever. He, like, fully is like, okay. In my head, I'm like, I'm attracted to him. I'm attracted to him, but I don't know him.
Right.
So I was like, and in my head, and I think it's more of like,
that's the idea.
I think in theory, I could have sex with somebody I just met, but because of the way the world works, I won't.
Right.
If that makes sense. I won't do it, but I think I totally could. Like, because I totally could have sex based off of just attraction.
Yeah,
I mean, could.
Yeah.
But because of the way I am spiritually, and also just how much I feel like I enjoy sex more when I know somebody better. Yes. I don't need to know
your
them.
brain says one thing, or your heart, and then your brain says
them,
the
like,
other.
Inside and out, but I
you
feel
need
like
to know the baseline.
That's like, why I was like, I need to hang out. Yes, the values.
Because
this is what I was talking about.
Because we both know this, since we're spiritual, it's an energy exchange.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And people who just have one night stands do not give a fuck about that energy exchange.
I actually thought about it, and I think this is part of it too, because I refuse to have like I refuse to have, like, absolutely non-communicative sex. And so it's like, if I don't feel, like, comfortable enough to tell you, like, that's not doing it for me, or this is what I want, or this is how I feel. If I don't feel like you're the type of person I can do that with, I'm not going to have sex with you. Right. Which is why it's like, I need to feel you out. But I'm going to tell you, it wasn't, like, if I tell you how many times we hung out, like, before we had sex, it was probably, like, 3.
But that's
was 3 times. I went over to his house, and he was like...
Are you there for, like, long hours?
I went over there. We hung out for probably, like, 2 hours, like, 3 hours. We smoked. We literally... He put on a movie. He was totally, like, ready. Like, he was, like, whatever. Okay. He wasn't, like, trying to, like... He wasn't pushing, but he was, like... Guys are, like, guys. So he was, like... if I was down, we totally would have that first day. But he was, like, you know, like, whatever. And he was definitely, like, putting on the moves, and I kind of just was, like, forcing the communication. So he's like, oh, like, do you want to cuddle? And I was like, right now? And then he's like,
you're like, I got here, like, 45 minutes ago.
And so, like, I was like, yeah, sure. Because I was like, he's cute, like, whatever. Yeah. So, but because I, like, pushed back a little, I think he was like, oh, shit, like, is she uncomfortable? So after, like, a second or two of his arm around me, he was like, well, like, he's like, are you uncomfortable? Because I don't want you to be, like, uncomfortable. Which was, like, good. I was like, okay, thank you for asking. And I was like, no, I'm fine with this. I just don't know what it means to you. Because I also was like, I don't know. Like, this is the first time I'm out. I don't know if this guy's like, I want a girlfriend. I'm looking to date. I don't know. This is why I'm like, people need to talk to each other. First. Like, don't just, like, open your fucking body up like, before you're talking. Right. That's why I'm like, I believe in... This is why I'm always like, I believe in casual sex in a way that is not what's happening right now, where people are like, swipe, swipe, swipe. I think you're hot. Let's fuck tonight. Like, I'm not for that, but I'm in the way of, like, fuck your friends. Like, it's very 70s, like, free love, the way I feel. Yeah. So I'm like... So I told him, like, I don't know what it means to you. And he's like, he literally put it on the line. He was like, well, I think you're really cute. I think you're fun to hang out with. I'm not looking for anything serious because I'm a senior. And, like, whatever. And so I was like, well, thanks. I was like, thanks. I was like, we need to hang out more. I was like, you know, maybe let's just hang out more. And if something happens, then something happens.
Yeah, like, we're not going to force it.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not just going to, like, whatever. And he was like, okay, we can hang out more. And then, like, we would hang out, like, maybe once a week. And so we hung out, like, one more time, like, just... And I was like, I also am like, I don't want sex to be the only thing that we have in common. Like, I want to be able to, like, hang out with you. And I had fun hanging out with him. And I found myself getting more attracted to him and more excited to have sex with him as we were hanging out. And we all hung out, like, 3 times. Yeah. And so I was like... That's why I was like, it wasn't that much. But it was enough for me to, like, feel out the vibe. Right. And kind of listen to the shit he says, and, like, make sure he's not, like... Because I feel like the worst thing in the world would be, like, oh, this guy's so hot, I'm gonna fuck. And then he says some fuck shit after. Yeah. Like, some weird, icky... Like, I fucking hate gay people. Like, what? Like, I'm fucking gay. Yeah, like, what? It's like, I already fucked you. Like, I can't take that back. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, let me bring up shit about me. Let's, like, talk about what are you interested in? What do you like to do? Like, whatever. You know what I mean? Very baseline, but not enough. I'm not talking to this man about his childhood. I'm not, like, falling in love with him. You know what I mean? And I still, like, we still actually talk. Like, he actually called me, like, not too long ago for, like, girl advice. And it was, like, it was so cool. Because, like, I've made, like, this friend, like, through this situation. And I feel it just is so liberating to, like, be able to, like, enjoy sex. And because of that, like, like, I was communicative, he was communicative, and we just, like, the sex got better, as it always does with, like, if you have sex with the same person multiple times, it always gets better. But because of that, it was just, I don't know, it's just such an interesting situation where it's, like, I explain it to people, and I'm like, it's hard to explain because there were still boundaries in place. Like, the first night we hooked up, I remember him being like, stay the night, like, cuddle with me all night. You told me, and I was like, I'm gonna go home. And it was like 2 a.m., right? So it's like, you could be like, oh, like, that's kind of weird. Like, why would you go home at 2 a.m.? But in my head, I was like, if I fuck you, stay the night and cuddle, like, what is happening? And it's like later,
too much at once.
Later on, like, after we had been, like, kind of hooking up for, like, about a year, or, like, a school year, like, whatever, like 2/3 of a year, we did hook up and, like, I would stay the night. But by then, we already had this dynamic, so it was no, like, confusion. I was like, we just hooked up for the first time. Like, I'm not trying to, like, stay and cuddle with you. Like, you're not my boyfriend. Like, I had said that to him, too. I was like, I'm not your girlfriend. Like, we're not, like, whatever. And I think it really, like, drew this, like, line. Because I think for him, it wouldn't have made a difference. But I just was like, I know for me, it will make a difference. So I was like, I'm not going to cross my own boundaries in that way. And also, there was, like, other things. Like, I wouldn't give him head. And he was like, oh, I know you hate it. And I was like, don't put words in my mouth. I never said I hated it. I was like, you're just not experiencing it. You're just not experiencing it. Like, you know, there was just multiple things. So, that, you know, I definitely had, like, boundaries in place. So it wasn't just, like, all willy-nilly. And I feel like that's what's missing in a lot of casual relationships and why people get hurt. Or why people end up falling in love with their hookup, even though they don't really like their hookup. It's like, well, we're doing all the relationship. It's a thing where it's like, if you're doing all the relationship things, but you're not in a relationship, you might feel like you like somebody, even if you don't really like them.
Yeah.
It's like a placebo, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was times even near the end where I just kind of was like, I always ask myself, I'm always honest with myself, shadow work always happening, like, in my mind now. So it's like, there was multiple times where, like, there was one time he walked me back to my apartment and, like, he was like, oh, like, grab my arm or whatever. And, like, he literally, like, escorted me like I was, like, his girlfriend or something. And I just was like, oh, my God, that was so nice. And then I was like, do I like him? And then I was like, no. He was, like, a perfect situation because we got close enough to, like, actually stay friends. Like, he calls me for girl advice. But we didn't get close enough for me to, like, fall in love with him. But I fell in love with him, like, platonically. I was like, oh my God, dude, I love you. I wrote him, like, a poem, like, a goodbye poem and, like, everything, and he, like, literally cried. Like, it was, like, he didn't sob.
That's some movie shit.
But he had, like, tears, and I was like, I saw him, and I was like, whatever. So it was, like, it was really cute, and I think the reason it was able to, like, stay so separated is because of, one, I was always checking in with myself. I never was just like, oh my God, dick. Like, also, we only hooked up once a week, and we never really texted outside of that. So it wasn't, like,
that helps.
I wasn't, like, saying, like, hey, how's your day? Like, shit like that.
That
like,
forms, like,
he would send me, like, music sometimes, and or whatever, and there was times we hung out while we were, like, hooking up, or we wouldn't hook up. You know what I mean? Like, in the span of us hanging, like, there was times I would go over and just, like, hang out with him as, like, friends, and, like, I also hung out with his roommates, too. Like, they knew who I was. I wasn't, like, coming over and, like, running to his room.
You weren't, like, a sneaky link.
We were always, like, yeah, it wasn't a sneaky link. It was, like, we were always hanging out and then having sex. It wasn't, like, I'm going over to have sex with him. It was, like, that's gonna happen, but we're also gonna hang out and, like, play video games or hang out with his roommates or, like, I watched him and his roommate make, like, fried rice once, and it was, like, a crazy experience because I don't know, it was, like, they were making a mess and, like, arguing and, like, it was, like, fake arguing, though, but it was, like, I was just so funny. So it was just, it was a very interesting experience, and I don't know how to explain how I feel in those situations to other people, because I know not everybody feels that way, where it's like, if I'm having sex with you, like, I'm romantically attracted to you, but I don't have that.
It's a very unique experience.
It's weird, but I also love it, because I'm like, I feel like it allows me to enjoy sex without, like, that huge, like, I don't know, the romance thing. Because, like, even now, like, I'm in a point in my life where I'm not anti-romance, like, at all. I'm not somebody that's like, I don't want to be in a relationship. I don't necessarily want it either. I feel very neutral on romance. Like, I love love. I like, see myself being with somebody, with one person. Like, I'm okay with that. That doesn't skeeve me out. I don't have commitment issues either. Like, I don't feel like I would have those issues at all. But I'm also not obsessed with the idea, and I also don't feel like, at this time in my life, I always say, like, I'm not closed off to the idea of a relationship, but if it were to happen, it would honestly be more of an inconvenience than anything else.
Well, yeah.
Which sucks, because I'm, like, in a time in my life where everything's kind of moving around.
Yeah.
So I'm, like, I don't want to date, but I still want to have sex. But I'm also not, like, desperate for sex. Like, I haven't hooked up with anybody since this guy, and it's been, like, a year. So I'm, like...
Yeah.
And I'm also not, like, necessarily looking. I'm, like, if it happens, it fucking happens. Like, I'm not on dating apps. Like, I don't...
Dating apps.
Dating apps are a whole other beast. We honestly could touch on it. We
can. Okay.
What do you feel about dating apps?
I don't fuck with them. I've never fucked with them. I've never downloaded one.
I did.
Never had one.
I did. Okay. I had Tinder, and then, which just, like, grosses me out now. I don't think, I'm gonna say honestly, as a disclaimer, I don't think that dating apps are all bad. I honestly, I always compare, have you ever seen Harry Potter?
I've seen, like, the first two.
It's literally, that's all you need. It's not, like, a specific thing at all. If you guys are, like, Harry Potter freaks, there's always a thing with, like, there's, you know, the different houses, like, Slytherin, whatever. Yes. So one of them Slytherin, and that's, like, the saying for Slytherin is that not all the kids in Slytherin are bad, but all the bad kids are in Slytherin.
Okay.
So not everybody in there is bad, but everybody who's bad is in there. Yeah. And that's how I feel about dating. Yeah. And that's how I feel about dating. That's a really good analogy. There are people who find great love and true love in dating apps. I don't think there's anything wrong with them, but I don't feel like sifting through. Yes. And it's hard to find. And I feel like there's something that I personally need in a relationship, like friend or sexual, that is missing through dating apps. Yes. And I think it's that, like, initial meeting period is, like, online fucks with me.
Yes. My take on it is being super spiritual. Maybe you can relate. I honestly believe that the universe will present me with a person in real life. Mm-hmm. I'll run into them at a bookstore or wherever I'm supposed to. Wherever I'm supposed to run into them, the universe will do that for me. Yeah. And it will make it the craziest story, like the butterfly effect. Yeah. Oh, the way we met, like, you know, it wouldn't have happened if this happened. I mean, dating apps, you just don't have that. Yeah. And then I'm, like, choosing myself. The universe has nothing to do with it.
Grosses me out. Yeah. Like, the swiping, like, and then I hear some people are like, it's fun, it's like a game. And I'm like, that is not okay with me. That's... Like, people being a game is not okay with me. No, like, and the universe, I don't wanna, like... It's so awkward.
You're choosing it, and you're reading, and you're like, do you check this box, this box, this box?
Like, I don't know. I don't think there's anything... I don't judge people who are on them at all, like, because everybody's on them for different reasons, but I don't feel like it's a sufficient way. Like, I very much am not obsessed. Like, it's so weird because I love sex, like, I really do, but I never feel like I need it so bad that I need to, like, just... Yeah. I'm like, I got it covered on my own. I have all of the Adam and Eve fucking discount codes. like, if I need, like, I'm good. So it's, like, it's never, like, a big deal. So I'm like, it's just not that... Like, when I met my last hookup, it was through work. Like, we had training together, and there was a moment where, like, it just, like, clicked where it was, like, both, like, oh, you're attracted to me. For sure, like, because guys are just like that. And then I was like, wait, you are kind of cute. And then it was just fun. It was more fun that way. Because, like, we could, like, I don't know, we had, like, a common thing. And I was always like, oh, my God, I work with him today. Like, whatever. Like, it was just so fun. Whereas, like, I don't know. And then it was fun because I was waiting for him. When he asked, like, he was the one who prompted us hanging out. Because he was like, oh, like, we had, like, a long weekend at school. And he was like, oh, do you want to, like, smoke? And I was like, who told you I smoke? And he was like, it's Ithaca. I was like, fair point, but, like, so it was fun because it was like, oh, like, when is he gonna ask to hang out? Because I was like, I'm not asking him to hang out. It's like, whatever.
Here's another thing. That,
is it good?
Yes. Yeah. Love it. That connection, that chemistry, when you see somebody in person, I mean, is unbeatable. Mm-hmm. Like, the way the universe makes it happen. Mm-hmm. Versus on an app, you start off with messaging, with texting.
I feel like it's just so...
You know what I mean? You start off like that, and then you're like, oh, well, like, what should we do for our first date? Or where should we meet? Yeah. Then you meet up. You're kind of already forcing there to be chemistry because you think there is.
Exactly. That's my issue. Or even if you had chemistry over messaging,
it's not in person chemistry. It doesn't always.
It doesn't translate the same. Yeah. Which is so odd because people are, like, different over messaging. Yeah. So it's almost like if I were
and you have an expectation.
If I were to download a dating app again, it would almost be like if I swiped and, like, matched with somebody, I would immediately be like, okay, when do you want to meet? Yeah. Like, we'd meet immediately.
That's it. We're not
texting over It's like, it would be just to, like, find the person and then be like, well, let's meet. I don't want to talk to you yet. Let's meet.
I literally...
Because people hide shit.
Yes.
Like, and
not even that, but I hate texting.
That's what I mean.
Find out your favorite shit over text.
That's what I mean. By people hide stuff, like, people, a lot of, that's what I mean by, like, and I don't want to come off, like, judgmental at all, but it's, like, a lot of times it's people who aren't ready for a relationship on dating apps. And it's because there's aspects where it's, like, you need to grow and, like, be confident in yourself in person. And a lot of people who aren't confident yet in person will run to dating apps.
Yeah.
And so when they're, like, texting you, you're like, oh, this person's so cool. And then you meet them. And they're really that person. Like, they are cool, but they're not confident yet. So they're just like, hey.
That's a thing.
Hey. And you're like,
confidence is the most attractive thing to me. If you in person come up to me and ask for my number.
That's why it was so... Anything. Oh my God. It ruined me.
That's what it is.
Dude.
Okay? Because that shows you have fucking balls,
it's
right?
Amazing.
Over a dating app,
incredible.
You don't have fucking balls.
There was, like, a moment. That's why I was like... when I tell you there was a moment where, like... Because we were talking and it was fine. I was like, this is just a guy I'm talking to. And then at some point, like, he had, like, kind of stopped and was like, what's your name? And I was like... And then we shook hands. And I was like, oh, this is, like, a thing for sure. And then he was talking to me a lot. And then I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm making this up or not. And then one of my coworkers was like, oh, he was, like, talking to you a lot. And I was like, was he? I was like, wait. And then I was like, wait, this is fun now. Like, I don't know. It's just... it's fun over
I know it's not.
App.
And I feel like it's nice, though, because I feel like it weans out the weak and the weak and the confident, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if I stay off dating apps and I know and I trust the universe, like, my person will come to me.
And also,
they're going to have to come to me in confidence.
It challenges me because I'm very much somebody where I'm like, I say always, I'm like, not that I'm not confident, but it's like I won't initiate.
Yes.
Because I'm like, just like, I don't know. I don't want to be...
I will sometimes, but...
It definitely depends. Like, there's ways I'll do it, but, like, not, like, where I'm... Not, like, guys do it because they're so fucking horny. They're just like, hey, like, do you want to whatever? But, like, I can't... I'm, like, working on that, and I'm, like, that is more fun because I'm, like, if I find somebody attractive, like, IRL, and I really want to, like... hang out with them, I'll be, like... Okay, like, how can I hang out with them? And it's challenging myself rather than just being like, oh, this person's hot, like, I'll text them real fast. And, like, I'll match with them real fast. It makes me, like, kind of think about, okay, what's a way that I can, like, start talking to this person? Yeah. Like, I did that with somebody.
It also, like, takes away the mystery. On a dating app, you're literally putting your age. Yeah. You're putting everything in your bio. Yeah. You're putting a bunch of pictures. You already know.
You're already judging people before you even... There's so many people you probably...
Oh my God.
That people probably, like...
Psychologically,
Swipe... I don't even know which one's the reject, swipe left, right? I don't fucking know.
I don't know either.
I don't know which one's but they probably reject so many people based off these superficial things that you would probably end up really liking that person. And also, I'm sorry, not everybody looks the same in pictures as they do, like, in person. Where it's, like, somebody can just be really bad at taking pictures or just look... I feel like well, not always. But, like, sometimes I look weirder in photos than I do, like, in person. And so I'm like, if you give people that, like, chance, then you'd be surprised sometimes, like, in person that they look, like, fine. And also, photos on a dating app can be taken from forever ago. And not even in a weird way where it's like, I'm trying to catfish you. But it's like, maybe there's somebody who doesn't take a lot of pictures. The last picture of them they have is from, like, months ago. And their hair is growing
or a year ago.
Like, literally. Because they just don't take pictures like that. They don't, whatever. They don't go out a lot. Like,
I just feel like it's a cop-out to be a man.
It is a cop-out to be a man.
No, like, it's
That's
just...
so funny. A cop out to be a man.
It is. What the fuck, man? I need you to come up to me, look me in the eye.
It's a cop out to be a man.
Hold eye contact. Come up to me and be like, I need your number. Like, I want it. I want to get to know you.
Also, just, like, the honesty. That's something that I want to get better with like, initiation, of just the honesty of, like, you intrigue me. From across the room, love your outfit. Ooh, you intrigue me. Let's
across
talk.
the room, the lock eyes.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, my God. I literally wrote a thing about this. I wrote an ode to lust in my poetry journal. And I was, like, stoned off my ass. And I wrote this ode where I was just, like, people are sleeping on lust. I was like, people have no idea, like, lust is everything. Like, I was like, don't get me wrong, like, I always think, because, like, people are like, you know, is love at first sight real? And I'm always like, yeah, no, like, you can't fall in love at first sight. But I'm always like, I'd said something along the lines of, like, I think lust is what people think love at first sight is. Because, like, you know, when, like, you can be physically and kind of, like, feel the same vibe. But even if you're not, like, romantically, the eyes. That's what happened with that guy. And I just was like, oh, this is... Because it's so weird.
So what do you think that is?
Like,
lust.
Because lust isn't love. Those are two different things. That's what,
but
like,
do you think
being
that,
physically attracted
lust
to somebody
can turn into the love?
I feel like for some people...
Or do you think the locking the eyes is like a trauma bonding thing?
For me, they're separate. I can love somebody and lust them, but I don't think my lust is ever turning into love. But what do you think
the instant connection is? I've heard a lot of podcasts. Connection,
if it's...
That instant, like, locking eyes attraction.
If, like, sexual attraction?
I don't know. Just, like, when you lock eyes with someone across the room, you're like, wow.
I feel like that's lust.
But, okay.
But if you don't necessarily want to fuck them, that might just be, like, you're interested in them as a friend. Like, platonic lust, I guess.
But do you think that can also be turned into love?
I feel like they're separate things. Like, I feel like you can end up loving somebody that you started lusting.
But do you know, like...
But I feel like you still... Because there's people that are together that love each other but don't lust after. You know, like those... When people always say, like, we've been married for X amount of years and we're kind of missing the spark in our friendship, but I still don't want to be with anybody else but her. Or I don't want to be with anybody else but him, but I'm bored. Like, there's lust missing there, but there's love there. So it's like, I feel like they're two separate things. Like, lust doesn't turn into love. You just either... You could lust somebody and then end up loving them also. And you could also love somebody and love somebody and then end up losing the lust. Like, I feel like they're just two separate things.
Yeah. Well, I've listened to a podcast and I've heard her say that the instant connection...
Is good.
Yeah. The instant connection can be trauma bonding. Just, like, the instant, like... You know what I mean?
Like
that
dangerous.
Instant, like, spark. But, like, you don't know.
I feel like it's so dangerous.
She explained that could be trauma bonding.
I feel like some people, their only connection is trauma. And that is, like, not a good place to be in.
Yeah, no.
Not a good place to be in at all.
Well, you would never grow from that, I don't think.
No, but a lot of people think that they are in love because of that.
Yeah.
So we've been through the same things. Yeah. We know all each other's shit. Like, but do you, like, have anything in common? Like, not really, no. That's not... I feel like people have different ideas of what they think love is, and I...
100%.
And I think...
like...
And I think I have it all figured out. But at least from my perspective, because of the way my brain works, I feel like there's just, like, different... Because I feel like my ex was definitely somebody that was, like, you know... I feel like definitely somebody that would try to, like, trauma bond and be like, you know... my issues, if you're having issues, like, just being mad at the same things is not... There's also people that try to do that with friendships, too, but they're like, oh, you hate that? I also hate that. And it's like, we're not friends. I don't want to build a friendship off of the things that we hate. Like, that's weird. And some people think that they have best friends because that's like, what do you guys like? Well, we just get together and we hate watch. Yeah. We hate watch this show. We talk shit about these people. We do this. I'm like, so y'all just do hateful shit together. And you call it being friends. Yeah. Like, it's so weird to me. So strange. It's so strange to me.
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm like, to me, like, friends are people, like, I laugh with. It's not people I'm like, yeah, fuck that bitch. I'm like, do you want to watch this show we hate together? Like, it's not. Like, every once in a while, it's like, you connect over those things. I'm not saying that that's awful, but I'm saying for that to be the sole thing that your friendship or relationship is based off of, like people who happen to be sexually attracted to each other but also hate all the same things, and they're just like, they're inseparable, and everybody's like, they're so in love, and I'm like, are they though, or do they just like have a bunch of lust for each other and hate the same people? Like,
that's true. Yeah,
like,
very valid.
I'm like, but I mean, that could be their version of love, I guess, but I feel like that's why those relationships don't normally last.
Yeah,
I feel like an ideal relationship has equal, maybe no, not equal amounts, maybe like, definitely, I don't know exactly what percentage, but definitely more love than lust, but a good amount of both. Like, a good amount of, like, both.
Because you need lust for maybe the attraction.
The attraction and the fun of it.
Yeah.
Because, like, the fun of lust is just, like, being attracted to somebody and being like, oh, I can't wait to see you later.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's not all sex, even if it's not, even if it's just, like, kissing them or, like, whatever. It's, like, coming up behind somebody in the kitchen and, like, whatever.
Ooh.
Like, that's lust. Like,
Dream.
you can be in love with somebody and have, like, a perfect routine where you guys know each other so well and love each other and don't want to be with anybody else. But there's lust missing, and because of that, you're both bored. It's a monotonous relationship. But I mean, two people might be fine without lust, and that's fine. But to me, I feel like there should be like a good amount.
There should,
because it keeps the excitement,
keeps the spark,
going.
Fun. Yeah,
it's like It's like how many? I feel like I've heard this in like multiple rom-coms or something. Like, if you guys know, tell me what I'm referencing, because I don't know exactly what I'm referencing. I've seen too many fucking movies. But like the thing where it's like, would you date your wife?
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
That.
Like, are you dating your wife currently? Like, how many married couples don't go out on dates anymore? Like, that's fun. Like, I want to run around to, like, I want to be, that's why I always am, like, I see myself as just, like young forever, because I'm going to be, like, with somebody and be like, let's go play laser tag on a date.
Okay.
And then we play laser tag, and then after they're like, oh my god, you're so hot. Like, I just think lust is, like, the you're so hot, I'm so hot, we're so hot together.
I have that, too.
I love that.
But that's why I get nervous, because I'm nervous the other partner can't show up like that forever.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like I can. But I'm nervous, what if they can't?
Yeah.
And then it's a one-sided, like, thing,
dude,
you
it's
know?
weird. It's weird, because lust
you don't always know
lust can fade.
Yeah.
Lust can absolutely fade. I feel like a lot of those, like, I just keep mentioning things when I don't know what I'm referencing, but I'm referencing something. Like, rom-coms where, like, men are cheating. I say rom-com, but, like, maybe just, like, a rom-drom. Like, a rom-drom. Like, a romantic drama or whatever. Yeah, men are cheating, and they're, like, not necessarily, like, they're talking to, like, there's always, like, a scene where they're talking to, like, their other guy friends, and they're, like, I still love her, I just am not, like, attracted to her anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's where, like, the cheating happens. Yeah. And it's, like, not that they don't want to be with these other women, they just want the body of these other women. And it's just such a weird place, because
it is.
In, like, her mind, she's like, well, why are you doing that then if you really love me? But it's like he's missing something, and that's the missing. People need to be. I really say in another lifetime I would have been a sex therapist, because I feel like I would have been like the
girl. You still can at some point,
dude.
You can have multiple careers.
It's a whole other degree. Like I could never.
Who said?
Yeah, I could just like make it up.
Over TikTok, you could just be the sex therapist on TikTok.
I have no credentials. I'm like, here's what you guys should do, but I feel like people.
I mean, this day and age, we're so smart from the internet.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people, I feel like the stereotype is like a couple brings like BDSM into the relationship to like bring a spark back. But I don't think that needs to be the case. I feel like the idea is to feel like
something so simple.
Feel like teenagers again. Like,
yes,
that is fun, because that when you're a teenager, there's all us, because there's so many hormones. You're just like want to fuck everybody.
I know.
Like, it's just, so I feel like that idea of like, wait, what? Oh, okay. The cat. The idea of, like, lusting after, like, your spouse and being like, oh, like, let's chase each other around like teenagers. Let's, like, I don't know, have a pillow fight. Like, how many people are pillow fighting with
I
it?
know.
Like, that would be so fun. And then you just, like, whatever, just romanticizing the relationship in a way that you just, like, want to be with each other all the time. Hi, we have a cat entering the room.
Oh, okay. She doesn't want to. Okay.
But
that, and I've also heard.
Would be so fun.
She's needing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I've heard, like, to keep the spark alive, you're supposed to flirt with each other.
Yes.
You know?
Flirting is like be like, oh, you look good today. Like, oh shit, like we've been together for how long? And you're saying that to me?
You don't know each other.
And I feel like that's why a lot of people get. Oh my god, don't even get me started. This is like a 2-hour fucking.
No, I know.
Because this is why a lot of people get in relationships, like, you know, like people who get in like serial relationships, like serial monogamous, like whatever, where it's like the first like 2-3 months feels amazing because you're in the what is it called? Not the cupcake
honeymoon phase.
You're in the honeymoon phase. Why am I calling it cupcake?
Cupcake.
You're in the honeymoon phase, which is essentially where lust and love are like equal. It feels so fucking good, but then eventually the real life shit comes through. The lust maybe is still up, but the love is down, or the love is still up, but the lust is down, and either way it doesn't feel the same as when you were in the honeymoon. So it's like, okay, let's break up. and then you find somebody else, and it's always that new and exciting.
Yes.
And that's why I'm like, I think a lot of people,
addicting.
I think a lot. That's why I'm like, I think a lot of people
struggle with that.
I think they think they're in love with somebody when really they're just like, I miss the honeymoon phase. Well, love takes work.
Okay, because after the honeymoon phase is when you got to start putting in the work. Mm-hmm. That's when it becomes a job, essentially.
That's also when you start to see people's real shit, because you can only hide shit for so long, and some people are like chronically hiding shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, you really gotta think, like, I don't know. That's why I'm like,
it's hard. It's tedious. It's calculative.
And I really do. I'm very much the type of person. I love lust. I love it. I think it's so fun.
I love lust too. That's like, why I love new beginnings.
No, new beginnings are so fun. But I'm
sparks,
like,
new flames.
But I know that the love takes so much work, which is why I'm like, I think that's why I'm in my head able to separate the two, because I'm like, okay, when I love somebody and love somebody, I'll do that. But right now, I'm in a phase where I just want lust. Like, I just want to find the lust with people. And I can love them as, like, friends. But I'm not going to be, like... I don't know how to explain it. We sat here for an hour, and I still don't know how to explain it. I don't know what I'm saying. Like...
I don't think it's something we'll ever really figure it out.
I can never put it into words. I don't think... I mean, I put it into words all the time, but I never can, like... fully process it. Yeah. I never can fully explain it, because I'm like, it's just something that I feel. It's just the way that I am. Because because most of the time when I hear people talk, like, the way that I am, they're also like, well, I'm non-committal. And I don't feel that way at all. Like, if I were to fall in love with somebody tomorrow, like, I would be with them. And I wouldn't be like, well, what about all these other people? Because the idea of, like, new and exciting other people, or new people... doesn't, like, necessarily excite me. Like, it's not like, oh, new shiny new. It's, like, not that. It's literally just, like, the person. It's so weird.
Well, here's the problem.
Explain it.
I would say I have commitment issues. Yeah. But I don't think commitment issues stem or start from relationships. Mm-hmm. I think, because I have it with everything. Mm-hmm. I'm too scared to ever, like, buy a house, because I'm like, oh my God, huge commitment.
What if you want to move? Yeah.
Placement. What if I don't like it here? Like, just commitment with everything. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to me. So it bleeds into, like, also commitment with relationships, I guess. Yeah. It's scary. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know where it stems from. I don't know if it's childhood. I don't know if it's...
I don't know where mine fucking stems from. Or my fucking... my fucking... the way that I am stems from. Like... Because, again, like, I can't fucking explain it, but I'm just like... Yeah, I could fuck my friends, but I also, like, don't...
Yeah, so I could also, like...
I could also be with one person forever, but I also could, like, possibly see myself being in an open relationship. Like, I don't know why I'm like that, but I feel like I could... Yeah. I, like, thought about it. I was like, would I ever be able to be in an open relationship? And I was like, low-key, like, I might... I don't know. Like, I might be able to. Which is so weird, because I feel like I would be almost more jealous in a monogamous relationship than I would be in an open relationship.
Because I don't know. I would never be able to understand until I'm at that point or in that situation.
No, literally, in a monogamous relationship, I feel like I'd always, like, you know, kind of be like, well, do you like her more than you like me? Do you like this person more than you like me? And I'm not insecure either. It's not, like, something that would happen all the time, but it's definitely something that, like, would come across my mind, at least. And then in an open relationship, I'd probably be like, okay, well, we both know, like, we're whatever, so I don't even have to worry about it. Which low-key sounds, like, so freeing. That's why I'm like, wait, I could totally see that, but I'm also not, like, actively seeking out an open relationship. Like, I'm just, like, I could be okay with one, but I'm not, like, oh, the next person I date, I'm gonna be like, okay, we're in an open... Like, I can't explain it. Like, it's so weird. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
know. I can't explain the way I feel about love and lust. All I know is that I love lust.
Love is the most complicated subject. It always will be. And it's always just the dynamic of it is going to be so confusing.
This is a pod that needed to happen because...
I know.
What the fuck?
And it can definitely, like... We can have also a whole other pod about that other love section.
No, like, literally.
Love can have so many different podcasts.
Guys,
there's so many different directions you can go.
Ready, because we have other bullet points on love. This is actually just one. And I was like, okay, we'll talk about it for 20 minutes and then we'll move on. Like, no.
Here we are an hour later.
No. Oh my God. I still feel like I have so much to say, and I don't even know. I feel like I said it all, but I still have so much to say. I'm like, every time I'm like, you know what? I'll explain it. And then I explain it, and then I'm like, that didn't really explain it well.
No, No, literally.
Whatever.
Oh my God.
But we have to wrap up.
Yeah, we do. We're running out of time for sure. But yes, if you guys like this podcast, head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, follow along with us, rate and review. The more rates and reviews you give us, the more closer to the top of the list we go. But don't forget to follow along and go follow on our TikTok. And we will catch you guys on the next pod.
See you.